The return of Vince McMahon opened Raw a day after the No Mercy pay-per-view with Vince ready to make an industry-changing challenge both as a work and in reality, as with the realization that the angle peaked in July and August while having potential game-changing players in Hall, Nash, Hogan, Flair, Sting and Steiner all either near an agreement with the company or about to be available as free agents in the next 3 months. Vince McMahon perhaps as a shoe declared that he has had it with the Alliance and Invasion crap to make the challenge for a winner-take-all match at Survivor Series, setting up the talked-about Invasion blow-off match to get one more big number out of the program for the payoff and move on from it instead of trying to revive it with the company now having other plans for the top WCW names about to come in the near future. As after Shane agreed to the challenge, Vince moved on to book the top matches for tonight with Rock and Jericho teaming against the Dudleys for the tag titles in the main event today after putting on an all-time great performance in their first pay-per-view match for the WCW title, followed by Vince looking to book Austin in a match with Shane announcing that Austin would not appear on the show tonight due to him needing 12 staples after Vince cut him with a chair shot to the back of the head near the finish of the three-way match last night, with Austin, who was backstage at the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, legitimately written off the show on short notice due to the injury hours before Raw went on the air, leading to spontaneous changes to the Raw script with several segments and matches revamped in the lead-up to 9 p.m., as Raw, which had the McMahon segment in the first quarter with the usually guaranteed rating boost of a Vince promo followed by mostly a Divas match in the second, opened the first half hour of the show with two 3.5 ratings. The lowest opening segments on Raw in over 4 months. With last night's No Mercy pay-per-view being the first WWF event not to be available on DirecTV, the company attempted to counter potential lost buys from its subscribers, which in the last report were responsible for around 15% of the total WWF pay-per-view orders, by offering for the first time a live webcast of the event for $15 on its website, with the company sending out a press release on the issue before No Mercy saying that as the leading content and revenue provider in the pay-per-view industry, the WWF asked for a fair split of the revenue, while encouraging DirecTV subscribers to find alternative ways to order the events going forward, either by switching satellite company or ordering the shows through cable until a new deal can be reached. With Raw seeing its first viewership movement of the night with Kidman vs Tajiri going 5 minutes for the cruiserweight title, followed by Dallas Page making his first appearance in the new character in front of the crowd before being confronted by Kane to lay him out, picking up around 600,000 viewers throughout the hour to peak at a 3.8 rating for the Page-Kane segment, and the start of Angle vs Rhyno, as Raw's first hour drawing a 3.6 rating with 4.4 million viewers, was the lowest rated hour of the show since going head-to-head with Nitro at its peak in early '98, with no segment entering the 4 rating range for the entire hour in what not long ago seemed like an unprecedented situation. Kurt Angle vs Rhyno gave Raw its first major pickup of the night and the second highest profile match at 10 p.m., going 11 minutes for the WCW US title, with Angle going over to win the belt, with Raw gaining over 600,000 viewers to finally enter the 4 rating range at the top of the hour quarter, doing a 4.2 rating. Followed by another title match in the same quarter with Bradshaw vs Hurricane for the European title, seeing another title win for the WWF, with Bradshaw going over to make it 3 title changes in a row, with the show-long Angle set for 2 more WWF vs Alliance title matches during the hour, with Van Dam vs Big Show for the Hardcore title and Rock and Jericho vs the Dudleys for the tag belts in the main event. Raw's second hour after the past 2 months of a drastic change in its usual viewing pattern that saw it sliding with almost every quarter compared to the peak run where the show usually grew significantly throughout the 10 to 11 p.m. hour on the way to the main event, perhaps with the show down to more of a core audience with the lower-rated first hour, reversed the pattern on the night with the second hour following the Angle Rhyno match featuring a Taker and Kane vs Booker and test tag match going 8 minutes to maintain a 4.2 rating, grew significantly from 4.4 to 5.1 million viewers, and while the company during the match advertised their WrestleMania 18 tickets going on sale in 12 days, the business saw its biggest non-WWF event since WCW folded taking place in a tour in Australia starting on Friday, with the tour originally booked by Vince Russo and featuring the majority of top WCW and WWF names currently not under contract, drawing between 4,000 to 5,000 people a show, with the second one yesterday seeing Bret Hart's first major appearance in over a year as the tour's commissioner along with Road Dogg vs Conan, Jerry Lawler vs Stevie Ray and Jeff Jarrett vs Buff Bagwell all on the card for the show, with plans for a second tour already set for Europe in the near future, with Raw, which also saw a show-long angle between the two WWF and Alliance commissioners with Foley and Regal booking matches backstage, having its highest rated full quarter of the night between 10:30 to 45 with Van Dam vs Big Show for the Hardcore title drawing a 4.3 rating. Rock and Jericho had their first interaction since putting on an all-time classic wrestling match last night minutes before teaming up in the main event, with JR and Heyman putting over the match big as the selling point for the pay-per-view replay, seeing Rock as he also did for Kurt Angle at No Mercy a year ago, putting over Jericho for his first world title win in perhaps the best match in Jericho's career, with his status now targeted to be elevated into the top tier of main event players, with Jericho after never getting a title shot during his original WCW run taking a shot at Eric Bischoff in an interview on the company website after the pay-per-view, sarcastically saying that he dedicates his title win to Bischoff, who never gave him the opportunity at a main event level, specifically referring to the short-term program Jericho tried to shoot with Bill Goldberg in late '98 that never led to a match between them, with Eric responding to the interview saying that he still believes it was the right decision due to him not wanting to put the more serious Goldberg character in a comedic angle which Jericho portrayed at that time and was not ready for a Goldberg feud, as the Rock and Jericho vs Dudleys main event kicked off 2 minutes from the top of the hour to go 8 minutes into the 7-minute overrun, ending up with Rock and Jericho winning the tag titles to add another twist to the angle which turned into the hottest feud in the company, with Raw overall after being dragged down by the lowest rated hour in years between 9 to 10 p.m. while at the same time going against massive sports competition on the night, dropping to a 3-year low 3.9 rating in the first routine Raw show in its regular time slot to drop below the 4 rating range since March '98. And if the number wasn't enough on its own, TNN, after making a similar mistake in early September to cut an Angle and Austin overrun segment on a bridge before it aired on the show, almost repeated it on the West Coast feed on the night, with TNN accidentally switching to the wrong feed to air Baywatch for 3 minutes instead of the entrances and start of the main event, including shortly cutting out the ending of the Vince Linda segment before realizing it and returning to the final seconds to close the show, with the only good ratings news on the night being the viewership pattern, with the Rock and Jericho vs Dudleys tag titles match gaining over 700,000 viewers to peak the show with a 4.4 rating in the main event.